Redline Logbook here to explain Danmachi's magic system. I guess first off I should explain that it's not just a magic system, it's also a power system. But it doesn't become a power system until the God's Blessing comes into the story. Magic, on the other hand, already existed before the God's Blessing. Now, if you have an innate ability to magic, which most do not, you have the ability to have up to 3 spells. You may only have access to 1 spell or 2 spells, but 3 is always the max. No individual can have more unless you're 3 specific characters, but that doesn't matter right now. Everyone else only can have up to 3 at most. And the majority of the time, you can pick the spell that you wish to learn, but it takes years of studying it and mastering it. There are 5 types of magic spells. Instant magic, where all you have to do is say the name of the spell and then it activates. Short chant, which is in its name. Mid-range chant, long chant, and very long chant. The longer the chant, the more powerful the spell. And if you have an innate ability to spell casting, and you didn't just get your ability from a grimoire, you can also double chant, which is basically you just read the same chant twice, which extends it, which increases its power. Now, there is a way to bypass most of these rules, and that is with a grimoire. With a grimoire, it forcibly gives magic to an individual, even an individual who does not have an innate ability with magic. As such, it can then give someone with 0 spell slots a spell slot, someone with 1 with 2, and someone with 2 spell slots 3. And instead of going through the entire process of learning how a spell works to use it, the spell is just automatically put into your brain, and now you can do it. The only catch is that you don't get to pick what the spell can do. The grimoire picks it for you. When casting spells, you can also increase the power using a staff or rings that are imbued with magical stone. As for anyone unlucky enough not to be able to get their hands on any of these things or have innate magic ability, you can always just buy magic items or magic swords. A magic sword is really the catch-all name for every magical weapon that is made. It doesn't matter if it's a hammer, an axe, a dagger, they're all referred to as swords. And the ability of these magic swords are pretty straightforward. You swing it, and whatever element was within this sword is unleashed. Whether it be fire, ice, lightning, wind, water, it doesn't matter. As for magic items, they're day-to-day use in everyone's lives. All the lanterns are actually magic-based. If you see someone turn a faucet and hot water comes out, that hot water is because of it's a magic item. Same thing with refrigeration, and even water for the purpose of drinking can be purified with certain magic items. And then final way to use magic is by a spirit. Spirits are elemental beings. For example, a salamander is literally just made of fire. As such, they have the ability to then choose whatever form they take. Would it be a humanoid form, an animal, or usually a weapon in the ancient times? A good example are the 2 spirits that turn themselves into swords for Welf's ancestor and Argonaut during the Argonaut story. Welf's sword was a salamander, and Argonaut's sword was a thunder spirit called Jupiter. There's also the heavenly items. This doesn't happen anymore, but back when the gods in the ancient times wanted to get a little fun out of the mortal realms, they would drop an item from the heavens. This would grant the user of this item great power. Each power is unique, but the issue is it came with a severe cost. For example, the king in the Argonaut story had a chain that allowed him to control the Minotaur, but the power of the chain would wane unless he fed the Minotaur a family member of his. And that is just the magic of the magic system. Now we're getting into fauna, or the blessing of the god. The way a god grants blessing is through their blood. What they do is they drop a single drop of blood on the individual's back, and this automatically grants them ability. The reason it does this is because they are now literally offering a piece of the god to the mortal. Many refer to it as getting closer to the gods themselves. This is why all basic abilities that a mortal has suddenly increase whenever they get the fauna. And every time they level up, these abilities also increase. These basic abilities would be things like sight, hearing, taste, feel, holding your breath, and even aging. The higher your level gets, the slower you age, because gods are immortal, and you of course are getting closer to a god. With that being said, no matter how high your level is, you will never reach the power of a god. Gods are primordial beings that exist in heaven, so no mortal will ever ascend to one. Now, when you get this blessing for the first time, you will have a stat sheet that says level 1, and every stat will be I0. These stats are strength, endurance, dexterity, agility, and magic, if you have magic. You can upgrade each of these abilities individually based on what they represent. For example, strength will go up if you inflict damage to a monster or an opponent, dexterity will go up if you dodge more, agility will go up if you run, and durability will go up if you take a beating. And magic obviously goes up every time you use magic. Each ability has a 99 point ratio for each stage of that ability. For example, I is 0 to 99, H is 100 to 199, and so on and so forth until you get to S900 to 999. S999 is the maximum that you can get to any skill's ability, unless you're Bell with a special skill that allows him to break this, or you were blessed with double talent like Althea. But excluding these two, no one else can exceed 999. Now, increasing your abilities is always good, but what grants you even greater power is a level up. The power of a level up is greater than even maxing out all of your skill. It is a massive jump in power that more than doubles your strength. There are only two conditions that are required to get a level up. The first condition is that one of your abilities must be D rank at least. This is how Haruhime became a level 2, even though all of her abilities are all I. Her magic ability was D, which then qualified her. And the second requirement is that you must accomplish a great deed that the gods can recognize. Most of the time this means defeating a powerful monster in a situation that should get you killed, but it can also be caused by just perpetual danger to one's life. This is what actually happened to Welf when he was in the middle floors. He became a level 2 because he constantly was pushing his body to the very limit to survive with Belle and Lily. After leveling up, you have a whole group of new stats that go to I0. This does not replace your previous stats. All your previous stats are still there. It's like wearing a multiple layer suit of armor, where the first layer is your level 1, your second layer is level 2, and it continues on every time you level up. And so your previous level just becomes part of your base. This is important because it will determine your starting point of how strong you are in your next level. For example, if two level 1s level up to a level 2 on the same day, one has stats that are A, B, and C, and the other one has stats that are B, C, and D. Even though they just both hit level 2 and now all their stats are 0, because they still have their previous stats, the first one is still stronger. Now this should be obvious, but as your stats increase and as your level increase, it actually becomes harder to level up. Low level grinding just doesn't cut it at a certain point, and you have to continuously push your body against stronger and stronger opponents. Fauna also allows you to develop skills. Skills are a different assortment of abilities that will develop based on the personality and actions of an individual. Belle is a perfect example of personality developing skills, and Bet is a perfect example of actions developing skills. Belle wanted to be a hero so much, he dreamed of it so intensely that his fauna produced the skill Argonaut, an ability that gives him that big final attack that you see at the end of all stories involving heroes. As for Bet, his style of combat is based solely around him running fast and being faster than his opponent. So he developed the skill Furnace Wolf, which just increases his speed when he's running. There is no upper limit to how many skills you can develop. It really truly depends on what you're doing and what your personality is. Another ability you gain from fauna is development abilities. Development abilities manifest every time you level up, starting with level 2. Development abilities has nothing to do with personality and is based solely on repetitive action. A good example of this is mixing. If you spend your time making potions or items in general, when you level up, you might have the ability to learn mixing. And with this ability, this will increase the potency and power of anything you create. Anyone who runs a pharmacy basically has this ability. Good examples are Dia Saint and Naza. And it's not just your actions, things that happen to you repeatedly can result in a development ability. If you are consistently poisoned by monsters over and over again, when you level up, you might be able to get the ability Abnormal Resistance, which makes you immune to poisons. Development abilities also have a system of I through S. The only difference is that they don't have a number system. Your Abnormal Resistance, for example, will be I, and that's it. There will not be a number with it, like I-17 or like that. It also does not reset every time you level up. In fact, quite the opposite. There are two ways to increase your development ability. One, just keep using it over and over again, and it will eventually go up. Or level up again, and every time you level up, it will automatically tick up one. So I will go to H will go to G, continue on all the way up to S. And the final part of Danmachi's power system is equipment. Equipment can be armor, shield, swords, knives, staffs, anything used by an adventurer to fight or defend oneself. You need access to the dungeon to create these things, because the materials used to craft them are either minerals you dig out of the dungeon, plants that grow in the dungeon, or parts of monsters that drop when you kill it. The deeper you go into the dungeon, the superior the material you'll find, which then allow a blacksmith to craft stronger and better equipment. The same thing goes for herbalists producing magical potions and magic items. And that is the entire magic/power system of the Danmachi universe. At least that's what's been revealed so far. Something new could always be brought in later. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you enjoy more Danmachi and other anime things. Thank you and have a great day.